Hey guys, my name's Colin Ledbetter. This is the Built Different podcast. In studio with me, I have Brad Nelson. I'm going to let Brad introduce himself.
Yeah, like you said, my name is Brad Nelson. I currently work for a Found Police Department. Been there for about 8 months, and I came from St. Louis City like Colin was there for about 6 years, in District 6.
Brad and I worked together in District 6 for, I don't know, I
think it was close to 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
That first 6 months or so, because you were behind me in the academy. And,
I was.
I started, you were the class right behind me, right?
Right behind you.
1704?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you started in District 6, and I started in District 2, and that was, well,
you
not what I wanted.
You transferred to the 6 from District 2
Correct.
Night Watch.
Yeah.
How long were you in District 2?
I think about 6 months. So I started in March, got to District 6 by December, so 9 months, actually. Yeah,
Okay.
6 months on my own. But
What'd you do down in District 2? Like, what's there to do? There's got to be, like, good places to eat at least at night.
You know,
right? Or no?
The one memory I have in District 2 was is that pivotal moment when I'm sitting on an accident leaving the scene, which is a fire hydrant that got hit and water's gushing everywhere. And it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I hear my classmates in District 6 chasing a car, wanted for assault first. And I was like, this sucks. I want to come up north. And
This is nothing to you District 2 guys that are watching this. You guys are just as important as District 6.
Just as important. But all my friends were up north.
Yeah. So you transfer to District 6. You come to Relief Squad, or was it 13 area at the time?
I think at the
no. You were in a different
area.
You were in a different, yeah, because you were under
Sergeant
Hogg.
Hogg?
Yep.
Okay. He didn't talk a whole lot. He was
Great
always
guy.
good to me, but yeah,
I like Sergeant Hogg.
He didn't talk a whole lot. But yeah, I went to a different squad.
Yeah. So then from there, you eventually transferred to my squad. And we just hit the ground running. You were a partner with Nate.
Well, Nate came later into the picture around COVID.
Yeah.
I remember initially it was you and I think Bonner was your partner. Is that right?
Yep.
At the time, and then there was Hines and Kerper who were partners, and I kept trying to tag along with you guys because you guys were the workers, and my squad wasn't big into working. So after a while, I was, begging to come to your squad, and eventually, Sergeant Willis got me over there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Nate came later into the picture.
Sergeant Willis. He's a great sergeant, great supervisor. So you've been in law enforcement total now for
About 7 years now.
7 years. Yeah. And you also have a military aspect of things.
Kind of. I'm an Eddie Yard guy.
Yeah.
So part-time military.
But you just did something really cool that I think a lot of my viewers would like to hear about.
Something that I failed.
But you did it.
You're right.
Well, you do you know the percentage of how many people have actually tried to go versus the people that have actually passed and actually went? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you sound like my wife.
It's a very, very, very small, minute percentage. So Brad, a month ago?
Yeah, I got home a month ago.
Yeah. Brad went to selection, right? Special Forces selection.
Yeah, SFAS at Camp McCall.
Yep, it's what they call it. He did not pass, but
got lost in the woods. I failed my nav.
But he's done something that I would say less than 0.5% of this country has even got to experience.
Yeah, it was.
So tell us about it.
It was a long journey to actually just get to selection. So in the Guard, there's special forces groups in the Guard that you can make contact with, kind of like a recruiter. And
how many groups are there?
2 in the Guard, 19th group and 20th group, and then there's 5 active duty groups.
19th is in Colorado?
one of them is in Colorado, so they have different companies in different places. The company that I was trying out with was in Colorado. And they have these programs called Special Forces Readiness Evaluation Programs, SFREs. And I had to attend quite a few of those to get trained up pretty good and get my physical done so I can go to selection, and that process took quite a while. It probably took longer than it needed to. I just kept putting it off.
How long was the process?
See, I went to my first SFRE in September of 2022, I think, and I finally went to selection in October of 2024. So it took me 2 years.
And how long is selection supposed to last?
It's only technically 3 weeks, but they added another week on the front end for additional land nav training because people keep failing land nav, like myself. But it doesn't seem to help additional people pass because I think we had the same number, if not a higher percentage of failures for land nav than they typically do. So I'm hoping they get rid of that before I go back again.
So for anyone that has not been to a school in the military or just been in the military, I would say 95% of the military is mental.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a very real percentage. People are going to think that's crazy. It really is. I mean, it's all about where your mental headspace is at the time that you're doing these. So let's talk a little bit about that. You're going to the school, you're leaving your family. Mind you, you don't have any contact, and you have 2 boys at home that you're leaving with the wife. I'm sure she was very thrilled.
She was so thrilled. She was thrilled when I came home, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, that mentally just alone has to be going through your head that entire time, that 3 weeks that you were there or whatever, the 4 weeks.
Yeah, and I talked to quite a few friends of mine who have gone through the process, and I remember one person in particular. You might remember him, Kyle Baytall. Okay, he went to selection after he left SLMPD. He got selected, went through the Q course, broke his back, and got discharged. But got to give him the credit for actually succeeding. He told me, he was like, this sounds bad, but for the next 4 weeks, you don't have a wife and kids. Your wife is selection. If you spend your time thinking about them, it's going to run you down. And the truth is, there were times where thinking about them did run me down, but there were times where
it helped.
I thought about how supportive my wife was through the entire process, supportive of all my training for it. And it, pushed me to keep going. Because I got really sick when I was there. I was certain I was going to fail the first gate week, which is all the rucks and runs that are timed and all that, because of how sick I was. And but no, I thought about how supportive she was. I mean, there was a day where I came home from work late at night, and I was like, hey, I would love to have dinner, but I'm sorry, I got to get this ruck in. And so I came home, and my rucksack was on my porch with my water bottle and a bag of gummy bears and my boots just waiting for me.
That's because of Tori.
It's because of Tori. Yeah.
Awesome.
So she was great.
Yeah. So we're going to I'm going to use Tori as a segue into the policing life. Family is extremely important in the military, but also in policing. Share a little bit about how that probably put strain and stuff on your family with just you being a police officer.
Well, it's kind of 2 different worlds right now of strain and struggle. In St. Louis, the trouble was I wasn't always at home when I was at home.
Yeah.
There was always that, man, work was intense today. And it's not always, man, what I dealt with was really hard. A lot of it was, I'm thinking about the next bad guy I'm going to get tomorrow. And there was a lot of obsession with that, that turned into not really being there home a whole lot while you're at home, if that makes any sense. And then her allowing me to spend some of those hours at home training for obviously selection and to stay in shape for work and stuff like that. And I wasn't very good at balancing my work-life world when I was in St. Louis. Now in O'Fallon, the hardship is honestly the schedule. With the 2 kids we have, and she's working part-time. I'm on nights right now. I'm like, nights is a killer. I mean, it's not like I'm actually working.
Your shifts are, is it
6 p.m.? Yeah, 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 in the morning. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I get like on average less than 1 call a night. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But it's just the hours that add a struggle to, the home life.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, my wife is much happier that I'm there because she knows that I'm, safe, and
yeah,
when I'm home because I'm not thinking about the next bad guy I'm going to get, because there's not a whole lot of bad guys there.
Absolutely. So obviously you're definitely in a better, I wouldn't say headspace, but you're just more present at home. It's easier to live at a different department is what you're saying, basically.
Well, realizing what I know now, if for some reason I would ever go back to St. Louis, I feel like I would, or if I could do it all over again, I would say I would have prioritized or balanced my work and my home life much better than I did before. But yeah, it's easier to be present with the wife and kids at home right now. It's just like way easier. It's not like I'm coming home from resisting with a crackhead or like going to a double homicide, 2 double homicides in one day, which honestly we enjoyed. Let's be real. Yeah. Those kinds of calls were fun. But it's the different struggle that she's dealing with of me trying to be okay with being slowed down. Yeah. Essentially.
Shifting gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the do's and don'ts that you learned early on in the job.
Don't piss off your supervisor.
Yeah. That was definitely, I could definitely see that one for you.
I like to shake the boat quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not because and you know this, I mean, you probably hated me when you first met me. Let's be honest.
Hang on, we're gonna pause. Brad is a very abrasive person. I think he has mellowed a lot. When I first met him, very abrasive, and I say that in the most loving way. He's just very abrupt, and he's very decisive in his decisions. And if you don't learn how to take that from him, especially before, it was very hard to. But I also like that about Brad. I like that he was that, and he was very to the point, and that actually became a very integral part of my time at SLMPD and my squad that I worked in.
Kind of pulling on the leash when I got a little too loud.
Yeah, no, I loved once I realized how you operated and how to operate alongside that. I think that like working with you was like a breeze. You always you came in and you were almost like a mad scientist, because you would come in and you would be like, hey, this is what I have, this and that, and I'm like, I went home and slept last night, what did you do?
I was on my phone all night.
Exactly. Like you were crazed, and you were like, hey, I got this idea and this and this, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but I got 8 hours of sleep and you got what? Like you're just wide-eyed and like ready to go. And I love that about you. I mean, sure, sometimes I'm sure that probably weighed on you pretty heavy, but like you were just so committed, and I think that's what people missed about you, was your commitment to it. I mean, it was, I would say, it was unmatched for sure, especially in the sixth district at that time. Not saying that there's not someone there now doing the same thing.
Mitchum, he took the torch.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's running with it. His fire is big.
Yes. And I think that's a very important part of our job and what we did as far as a beat officer. You just need the guy that detectives or homicide detectives or anyone can just call and be like, hey, what's going on here? And you would have had an answer for most neighborhoods. You know, hey, what's going on in Walnut Park West? You would have told them, like, hey, this guy, probably who you need to be looking at.
And there's just like, the best part about that whole experience for me was like having you and Wos and Spies and Heinz and Kerper like as a team to kind of bounce ideas off of. And you guys to this day have been the only group of guys who heard an idea that wasn't theirs and was open to it. You might have had criticisms, you might have had critiques, but it was open to it. And the best part about our squad, I believe, is like we all had a particular set of skills that we were good at. Like you were very good with the bums, and the bums is a vast network of like, it's like, you know, the spider in Game of Thrones. He's got all his little children who are informants for him. Like that was you with the bums.
Yeah.
And
this is going to sound really weird to the listeners because a lot of people that know me in a different world, you know, I'm not always a people person. I'm very quiet. I sit in the corner, but I felt like I kind of took on that role of the community policing officer within our squad, you know, like I don't know what it was my, you know, my...
You were the bum whisperer, man.
yeah, my soft country face or what it was, but I don't know, people just seem to want to talk to me versus someone else.
You're easy to talk to.
Yeah.
And plus, like, not only were you the bum whisperer, you were also like a tracking dog with them. You would always find the bum sleeping inside the vacant house, and you always find the bum that had good information.
And they knew, yeah, they always knew what was going on in their hood.
And especially when you came knocking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I just wanted to shed some light on that. I felt like you always you got the short end of the stick when it came to that. And I feel like it was always because no one tried to sit down and figure out where you were trying to head with things, and you were so passionate about it. And just, you know, people just didn't understand.
Yeah, and that's always honestly been a struggle with pretty much wherever I've been, to the exception of the military. It's always served me well in that environment, to just say what I mean.
The military likes it.
Right. You know,
they don't like beating around the bush, and, you know, if they're going to point A, they're going to go to point A, you know, but in regular life, you're going to go to point B, C, and then you're going to hit A. And
where it really ran me into trouble sometimes was on calls, for sure, because you got three people trying to tell you something. I'm like, shut up. What'd you say? No, go back a little bit. I don't want to hear about yesterday. You know, get to the point.
Yep.
I'm on a clock here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? No, I think that that ended up being one of my favorite parts about you. Was one of the parts that almost made it so hard for me and you to get along at first.
The part that everybody hates. You loved. I appreciate that.
So I have this question I like to ask, and it's probably about, you know, we're probably about mid-show. So this question always hits everyone differently. I think the last one I asked Josh this question. But would you recommend this job to a family member or a friend?
That is a tough question. And the way I would answer that is, the way I'm raising my kids now, the way I intend to raise them. I have a 4-year-old named Atreus and a 1.5-year-old named Tyr, spelled Tyr, by the way, in case there's any confusion, is to be strong, independent, and be the helping hand of everybody around them. And I don't think there is a better profession outside of war where you can be that courageous individual going after bad guys or helping somebody who actually legitimately needs help or saving for whatever reason. So I would say, because of those reasons, because I think it builds a good amount of character. If I can give them a strong foundation to protect themselves emotionally and spiritually, and obviously physically, yeah, I would recommend it.
I remember I probably had 2 years on at this point. I mean, we probably knew each other. But I was talking to a DEA agent, and in my head, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, at the time I thought all federal agents go and be federal agents. You know, like DEA, they get out of college and they go be a DEA agent. It's not the fact all the time. So I was talking to them, and they're like, well, you know, I started working 10 years ago right where you are. And I said, what do you mean? They're like, well, I was a District 6 officer. You know, at the time it was probably a District 7 or District 8. But, and he's telling me all this, and I'm like, yeah. I said, that makes sense. And they're like, you know, there's a saying, at least around here, if you want to learn and you want to be a good officer, you go to District 6, you go to District 5, you go to these places. And you go and you not only work with good officers and good people and good-hearted people, but you also learn the community. That's what people, I don't think, understand either, is there's so many good people trapped in those areas. Elderly people and stuff like that that bought these houses back in the 80s and stuff. And they have the house paid off. They can't go anywhere else. The house isn't worth what they bought it for now because of all the crime and stuff. We kind of hit on it a little bit walking through our career together. So you eventually transfer over to my squad, and we have Sergeant Damon Willis.
Yeah, it was a blast.
We were doing a lot. We were doing so much. At some point in time, and I've brought this up on a few other shows. At some point in time, Brad, he got a hit put out on me. It was a notional hit, you know.
No, it was legit.
A lot of people say it wasn't.
Well,
but
the problem was you looked like me, and we were in the same car sometimes.
Yeah. So it was hit and go for a little bit. I mean, so, and we don't have to share too much about it because I'm sure there's still
we can share it. We can share it.
There's parts that people don't know or don't know, but like so we started targeting this block really hard. We started targeting this block. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of different names. We don't have to share them, but floating around, and we just started arresting people. I remember one night solely, you had the great idea. I don't remember what we had right before that, but we were riding together.
Doesn't sound like it was a good idea, though.
You said, I can't remember what it was.
I remember.
We did something.
So
we had evidence we had to take down.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, it's you always had this thing about you. Like, it's not going to take too long. And in my head, I think I knew. I think I had radars going off. Brad said it's not going to take too long. We're going to be here till 4 a.m.
See, I remember that very differently. That's what's funny. I remember you saying, no, let's jump out and let's go get him now. I'm like, dude, it's our Friday.
But it was your idea to float past the thing.
That's true. It was mine.
It was your idea to float past the thing. And then after that, I realized that I was just like you, and I said, yeah, we just got to take care of it.
We were on our way to the laboratory. Do you remember why?
I know we had an arrest before that.
Do you know who we arrested? Some guy who urinated in public, and the city prosecutor said you had the best case for urination in public he's ever seen.
Yeah, I can't remember all. Yeah, it was.
He resisted and
Oh yeah, that's
had
right.
some dope on him.
Yeah.
You took photographs of his urine.
Yeah. We went all out for that case, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We really wanted it to stick.
I don't think the guy was very nice, I think was what the case was.
Oh, he resisted.
Yeah.
But
so we're on our way to the lab. We see these guys hanging out in the stoop. It's a known drug block. We got to take care of it.
And they've all got guns.
Yes. So we pull up across the street.
Several blocks down.
No help at all. We're calling people, trying to get them over there. No one's coming. We go and hide in the bushes.
With how many?
Quite literally. We hid in these bushes. I mean, we hid in the bushes for a little bit.
How many flashlights did we have?
We had one. We shared a flashlight.
Yeah.
But we eventually make the case, and we're like, hey, we're just gonna go out there. Because I think we were looking for someone in particular at the time.
When we drove by the first time, we were looking for that one target, who is notoriously good for running. He resisted from me before. He's the only person who's ever dusted me and left me out of breath, throwing up, and like with a broken holster. Like everything was bad. I was so butthurt about that.
That was a really funny day. I remember pulling up and seeing you, and you were just disheveled.
Man, it was terrible. We were going after him, and we saw him.
Yeah.
And so we parked down the street, and we established surveillance in a bush across the street. And there's like no street lights.
And we probably hung out there for a little bit.
I think we were there for 15 minutes.
Enough time for us to realize that there was the target had left, but there was still illegal activity going on.
Yeah.
However long that may be. And so we decided to go ahead and make the approach. Which the approach ended up being us walking out of the bushes and everyone scattering.
Sprinting.
Yes.
Sprinting out of the bushes. Yes. Hoping to God that they don't shoot us.
Yes. And I think we ended up arresting just one.
One.
We just arrested one guy that night. But he had a lot of dope, some guns on him. And then I think at that point was kind of like the deciding factor that, hey, these officers are bad. And we're gonna put out a hit on them. A notional hit. Whether it was true or not. I mean, you and I both believe it was true, but a lot of people told us that it wasn't.
Well, the marshals still believed that it was true.
They did believe.
There was a news article about it.
a lot of people in the department didn't believe it. But after that, we kind of really honed in, and we made it our case to.
That was the enemy for a while.
Yeah, and it pretty much that block pretty much was taken down once we finally got the feds involved with the hit and everything. And I remember the U.S. Marshals coming in, and I don't remember. I remember them coming in, and they got a lot of arrests. It led to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of different stuff.
They kicked in a lot of doors that day.
They got even the guy that we were looking for that night and stuff, too.
I remember getting yelled at that day, too.
Yeah, we did get yelled at.
I got yelled at.
See, it's a weed thing. I took it with you. I might have sat outside the office and heard it, but I took it with you. No, it was...
They got mad at us for essentially solving that issue by ourselves. There was an issue. We went through our chain of command. Our chain of command did not
care.
They didn't send that up to the next rank of chain of command who is not on vacation. This person hates my guts, by the way.
Yeah.
So when they came back from vacation, I got a lot of written reprimands. But, oh well.
It was definitely not taken seriously by our department.
No.
Until the day that we finally... It came down, and because you kind of took things into your own hand, and we contacted some people that we knew.
But we went together to the that meeting with that was pretty intense.
A lot of 3-letter names, yeah.
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 It's pretty cool though. I felt completely outside of myself. Like, these people were too important for me. Like I shouldn't be here.
And they were for real, and they took it seriously, and yeah. I always hone that back into that night, that was kind of the pivoting point of a lot of good things happened. A lot of the good things came from that,
I think one of the best things that came from that is kind of even though it was, I believe, only you and I who were there, Berginzer helped us. He's the only one who came to the back alley when we're like, we need reinforcements, dude.
Yeah.
There's too many of them.
Yeah.
And, I think that was a pivotal point for our squad kind of being like, okay, we can make this.
We've got a direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it was definitely kind of like that point of we can actually do something. We can, I feel like it was always throwing tacks on a wall and seeing what stuck. And then at that night, it was like, hey, we can actually make a difference. We can actually shut this down, shut some of this down, and actually, squash it out and make a difference in these blocks and these neighborhoods. And it did for a while. I think it popped back up, but it did for a while. It was...
These were quiet. Anytime we were at work, these neighborhoods were quiet. And, I think we got some of our or inspiration from the movie Sicario to try to do some agency tactics on these guys. But
Yeah.
it was a great time.
Yeah, there was a lot of different stuff going on that block. They started, I don't know if you remember, but they started like blocking off the alleyways because that's the way we were.
With rocks.
Yeah.
Big rocks.
They were putting rocks in the middle of the alleyways. Just all sorts of different stuff to.
And then one of the officers like
block it off.
urinated on one of those rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but
Yeah. Let's talk about I'm trying to think of some of the other stories that we have together. There's so many.
Oh, I know one.
Yeah,
Maybe
share
you
it.
want to explain it
Share it.
because I remember specifically this is when I realized, okay, Colin knows his bombs. I forget which road it was. It was the road just east of Union, just north of Bircher. So like there was this vacant house that this guy would always go into. And you knew who he was by name.
Mm-hmm.
And you would always knock on the door and say, St. Louis City K-9 Division, and start barking like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy jumped out the window, the second story window.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which one I'm talking about now?
Yep.
And then I'm rushing over because I'm in the backyard, and I see him trying to hop a fence,
Yep.
but his pants and underwear are at his ankles.
Yep.
And a taser may or may not have gotten deployed. So
I went to tase him and I drive stunned him and it slid up his leg, and it may have hit some spots that he did not want me to hit.
I just
And
remember.
this was a guy that I know. Like
Yeah.
like every time I'd stop and talk to him on the streets, he would talk to me and stuff. I think that night he was just scared because he knew he shouldn't have been in there, and I think someone else had taken him in. But he really was not about to go to jail.
No. So
Yeah.
much so that he took some electricity in the butt cheek.
Yeah.
You know?
He was, you know, I don't know what it was, because usually I just pull up and talk to him, and he was cool.
And you know what? You didn't even care either. You were inches from his butt with your face and a taser.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm like staring at a goat, and Colin doesn't care. This is his world. He's like, no, this guy's mine. He's coming with me.
Yeah, he was, that guy always, you know, knew what was going on in that neighborhood, and
Didn't he end up getting killed too?
he did. I was actually really upset. Like, I mean, you know, you get close to some of these guys. You know, you just
Yeah.
get to talking to them. You get out and talk to them, and like it just becomes a familiar face. And I was overseas. I think I was, and without shedding too much light on it, I know that he had attempted to buy drugs or had stolen some and ended up getting killed for it. I was really upset whenever I was overseas. Whenever I was overseas, it was really hard for me because stuff like that would happen. You know, when
Yeah.
I wasn't there to, because I truly believe that if I was there, I would have really honed in on it and tried to figure out what was going on and
Had something to do.
stayed
maybe.
up with the investigation. And he was a really great guy. He was actually he worked at a bank.
He worked at a bank,
He worked at a
but
bank.
he, you know,
He-
slept out of Vaco.
Yeah. He before he got into drugs and everything, he worked at a bank. He was the oldest story in the book. He had broke his leg or something and got addicted to Oxy. And then he kind of got pushed out in the street. Whenever he was working at the bank, he was like 18 or 19.
Oh.
And his family ended up pushing him out in the street because they just couldn't deal with his addiction anymore. He ended up losing his job a couple months later, and that was just kind of what it was. He ended up going to the streets and living on the streets and ended up in North St. Louis.
It's crazy that you know that. I'm glad that you know that.
Yeah.
We run into these people all the time. We never think if they were anything before that.
It's
You know?
It's kind of crazy to find out like some of the guys that like how they ended up there and stuff. There was a guy that Josh and I knew kind of sort of well. He used to panhandle a lot at a specific intersection, and Josh and I just kind of, I don't remember how we came up on him, but We ended up finding him, and he had this big sore right here, and we ended up talking him into going down to the hospital. So they took him down there. And a couple days later, I don't remember exactly why, but he was discharged. But he got this thing cut off of him. And he was basically told, you need to keep up with it. You need to go here to get the health care so they can clean it and everything. Well, he didn't keep up with it. He ended up back at the same spot, panhandling and stuff. But I found out his backstory. He used to be a contractor out in St. Louis County. I never found out like how he ended up on the streets, but I knew that he was a contractor. Like he showed me pictures and stuff that he had of him doing this work and stuff. And it was really just sad to see where he ended up, especially. So fast forward to the story that he had this thing removed. So he had these stitches and stuff. Well, he didn't keep up with his health care. And it ended up getting really infected. And one day, Josh and I ended up finding him on the side of the road dead.
Oh, is he the one who had gangrene?
Yeah, he actually had a piece of, it was one of his intestines, I think, that was hanging out of him.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember this guy. I don't
Yeah.
remember him being dead. I was probably gone for that. But
Yeah.
I remember a dude with gangrene with stuff sticking out of his belly.
Yep.
It was really gross.
You get close to these guys. I mean, and it's for any human being. As soon as you make a connection and you start talking about, you learn something about the person. You instantly, if you're a caring human being, you instantly start to feel for that person. Like and I just think that's kind of across the board for anyone really. You learn something about someone and it will always affect you.
And I think it's also a big thing to recognize, like how much that place desensitizes you to death, to even to people that you see regularly, like you see.
Absolutely. I remember my first. It was just an overdose, but I remember showing up on scene and like realizing that I know him, and processing through that was just different.
Yeah.
I had been on so many homicide scenes and overdoses and things like that before it, but I was like, no, this is an actual real person. And it's not that none of the other people weren't before that, but it was the fact that I knew something about the guy.
There was a story behind him.
Yeah. And that story was over.
Right.
Forever. So that was definitely different, and I'm sure you have something like that as well. But so we talked about the hit a little bit. I'm trying to think of a couple other good stories. We've got so many. We did a lot of work on several different blocks. Towards the end, we were kind of working in a different neighborhood.
We bounced around
a
little bit because that one became particularly dead.
We talked, or we started jumping around. Actually, I think we were kind of working in the same neighborhood as the guy that ended up in my shooting and stuff at the end.
Yeah, because he was his own 6. Yeah.
So
that neighborhood was much harder to tackle because of their organization, their structure, even their tactics. Like you think of gang members, sometimes you think of like the Taliban, and they just kind of recklessly do things. Some, yeah. Others, like they've got tactics, and you know what? We've said this before to each other all the time, and this is something our squad like recognized, and I was proud of our squad recognizing it, that these people participate and get real combat experience more than we ever do.
True.
How many shootings have they been in? It kind of makes the threat level get a little higher. Yeah, they have an AR pistol, more than what we got. They're going to have the jump on you if they start shooting. We have to wait until the threat is obvious, right?
Yeah.
and then they've done it before. They've got the wherewithal of pulling the trigger, you know.
I think that's, yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'd get a shots fired call, and you show up, and there's shell casings all over. There's nobody around. But you know, in your heart,
You know, something happened.
something just happened right
Yeah.
there, and they just have all that time to perfect that kind of stuff. And yeah, the other big thing was we were always outgunned.
Yeah. And we didn't care.
You know, you're fighting with 9mm Berettas and a shotgun that you didn't know if the last person, you know, put it in the rack right or not. That kind of stuff. So, yeah, to be young and dumb again, right?
Yeah.
So, I kind of want to hit on this a little bit. Every officer that I've had on has had a worst time in their career and a best time. I think we've kind of touched on some of your best times. So we'll start with the worst time.
Well, the worst time kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And it's because of the best time. I think it's important to, like, the best time, obviously, we've talked about that. And that was our relationship with each other, like our squad. We knew each other's family, essentially. We were family. And it was this unkillable, unmovable, unstoppable machine that we were just steamrolling through everything. That was the best. And then the worst was my partner Nate Speece and you getting shot. I mean, that was the most heartbreaking. Like, my wife always got on me for, like, you know, you never cry, like, you never show emotion. And I held it together pretty well. But I remember when I got home that night from the hospital, because we weren't even allowed to see you at the time. I got to see Nate, and I could see that Nate was alive. I could see that he was awake. They were operating on his leg. It wasn't life-threatening. I was horrified that this happened to my partner. And then, you know, there's you who's somewhere upstairs, and we don't know the condition of you at all. All we heard was, it's not good.
Right.
And I think the word might have gone around that you coded in the ambulance, which was in fact true. But yeah, I definitely, one of the only times in my life where I broke down into tears, for sure. And it was, not only did this happen to, like, two of my best friends, you know, two of my brothers, but this was an awakening of, we're not invincible, you know?
Yeah.
And up until then,
We were.
how many bullets did we dodge, you know? How many near misses did we have on the street? How many times did we almost get smoked by a car? You particularly.
Yeah.
All these times, and we came out on top.
Yeah.
And so not only was that the worst time because I was, you know, just praying to God that you would pull through. And thankfully he came through. But the months and years following that was the end of a legacy, right? The end of our squad. It didn't end our relationships, but it ended something that was, like, so beautiful and that I really cherished. And knowing that it wasn't going to be the same anymore. It's a hard reality to face, you know.
No, absolutely. I think that it was definitely something special. There was a strong brotherhood. And I do, from the bottom of my heart, believe that we were making things better. I mean, you just got to believe that either way. I mean, working in that kind of neighborhood, what are you working there for if you're not trying to make things better? So I do think that we were I mean, we were. I mean, we were seeing blocks that were active and riddled with crime, not riddled with crime anymore. And I think that's important, an important takeaway from especially our squad's legacy. There was so many times older officers would be like, "Why are you guys doing this?"
It's
And
because we love it.
and
We
and
loved it.
there's a part of me now that kind of understands that a little bit, but there's also a part of me that
Yeah.
wouldn't take back that time either. We were good at what we did. We did it with a purpose, and I think we did it right. And we did it, we did it to where any person that looked from the outside thought, this is a great group of guys.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of get the backstory because I always, I don't remember this day, right? So Nate and I were riding together. It was supposed to be a pretty easy day. I had an interview.
You did.
Yeah, and Nate was just gonna kind of hang out, and then we were gonna go home. You were interning with the gang unit.
Yes. It was day number 2 of the internship. And I had taken the day off work. And I remember just like a week or 2 before that, maybe 3 weeks, not long before, like you and I had butted heads a couple times.
Which was normal.
Which is normal for brothers to butt heads. It happens. And I remember you saying something like, I'm just going to do my own thing for next couple days. And then Nate and I stir something up, have this felony fling that kind of turns into almost a 7250. And who was the first person on scene? You.
Yeah.
You were the first person to show up and, get on the radio and make it sound like we had everything under control. We did not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember that. Okay, I brought that up because it's important. We were butting heads a little bit. But we had this previous discussion on who was going to apply for what, because a DEI spot opened up and a mobile reserve spot opened up at the same time. And we didn't want to compete against each other because we wanted us both to go somewhere, essentially is how I remember us feeling. And I think we had decided that I was going to apply for mobile and you were going to apply for DEI. And I had taken the day off of the
Knowing
gang
what we
unit.
know now, we probably should have switched that.
We probably should have switched, yeah.
Because you would have been better off with that.
And you would have. I had taken the day off because I was interviewing with O'Fallon Police Department.
Yeah.
It was the first time that I applied for them. And, they were so gracious the second time I came through. Like, they remembered exactly who I was. And I took the PT test, breeze, super easy. Took the written test. Don't know how I passed that because I suck at math. But I passed it. And then I'm moving up to the interview. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to backtrack. So on my way to O'Fallon PD to do my test, you call me. And you were just telling me that your interview with DEI went really well and that you were wishing me luck for my interview, which is supposed to be in a couple days with Mobile Reserve. And I remember that because we had just hung up the phone and I was like, okay, Colin doesn't hate me. He's wishing me well. And he called me to tell me about his interview. And I was like, thank you. All right, cool. We're still friends. It was really good to hear. And I was in the lobby of O'Fallon PD waiting for my turn to walk up the stairs to go to the board interview. And I got 4 or 5 missed calls from McCormick. And McCormick, he's not one to call twice. If you call and you don't answer, he's like, whatever, I'll just get you later. I thought it was weird that he called me 5 times. And so I was like, I'm about to interview, but I just had a funny feeling. So I called him back. My phone was also on airplane mode, by the way, prior to the interview. And I turned it off airplane mode to text my wife, I'm about to go into the interview. And that's when I had 5 missed calls. He was like, hey, are you working? I'm like, no. He's like, all right, 2 District 6 guys were shot. we're not sure who it is. One of them might be Colin. The other might be Spees. And he was like, we don't really know what happened, but it doesn't sound good. And, you know, of course, I was like, well, this is weird. So I walk up the stairs, say, I'm sorry, I've got to go. And they're like, why? What happened? And I was like, I'm pretty sure my partner just got shot. And, you know, they all sighed, and they were like, oh, Mike, I'm running out of here. I'm sorry. I'll call you guys later. So I run out, and I go like probably 130 miles an hour on the highway to meet you guys at Barnes. And meanwhile, I'm making calls, right? I called Rumsa first because he was working, right? I believe he was a sergeant that day. He was our sergeant, who was awesome, by the way. Love that guy. I still love him.
Great guy.
Yeah. And it broke me down when I heard him crying on the phone. Because I was like...
You knew how bad it was.
I was like, oh, my friends are dead. This is the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
And one of my friends did die.
Yeah.
He came back to life. That's this guy. But yeah, and then I think my next call was Los. I think I called Los because I didn't know if he knew, because he wasn't at work, because it was our shift that was working. And yeah, because he had swapped to the other shift, because you gave him a good shake and bake on that. I think you covered that in your podcast with them. But
he thinks I dodged him. I didn't.
Yeah, you did dodge him 100%.
I did not willingly do it.
You didn't do it on purpose.
No. It just the cards kind of fell that way.
But the following days, it was, I mean, dude, Los was by your side every minute of that. Dude, he spent 16 hours a day.
Yeah. Which I think is a testament to not only Josh's character, but just our squad.
Yeah. And I was able to sneak in because they were only allowing like one at a time. Los would like go downstairs to get some lunch or whatever, and I would come up for a few hours. I spent a lot of the time with Nate, you know, until he left the hospital. And then Josh and I had some fun with you when you were unconscious. But I remember seeing them take you off the anesthesia. And it's that moment. It was the first time they did it. And I'm extremely blessed that I got to be there to see it. And it was you waking up. And you were so out of it. You couldn't talk or anything. And the reality is you weren't completely there yet. But I could see, like, we could see that you're conscious, you're breathing, your eyes are moving, you're engaging with what's around you. And you honestly, you looked like a newborn baby. Like kind of waking up and be like, what's going on?
What is this world?
Your soul had gone back into your body.
Yeah.
You know? It was amazing. Like, the doctors were not being overly pessimistic, but before they were talking, they were like, we don't know how much of him is there.
There's going to be left. Yeah.
You know?
Well, thanks for sharing that. Wrapping
Thanks
up.
for being alive.
Wrapping up, I always give the people who come on a shout. You want to shout to your family or something like that?
Yeah, I want to shout out to my wife, Tori. She's the best supporter I could have ever asked for. And my two kids are fantastic. My oldest tells me all the time he wants to be a firefighter, soldier, police officer, Green Beret, is what he says. In that order. Green Beret is last, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult thing to do.
Right.
But yeah, and I want to give a shout out to you too, man, because like those times that I had with you and Nate and all of us, I still cherish those every day. So thank you for having me on here.
It was a great time. Thanks for coming on, Brad.